Previously on Divorce Court.
I'm fed up. I'm at my wit's end right now. I feel like what he got going on, his drug addiction, his substance abuse, his alcohol abuse, the mental health meltdowns that come with it, I'm done with him.
Mr. Jaramillo, what was going on in your life that you needed to self-medicate?
Just me coming up, like it was just kind of like tossed around, like.
Where was this normal at, in a backyard with the hillbillies? Because when I'm in corporate America, New York, it is not normal to take all them drugs. I'm just saying.
If this is a problem, we need to resolve that before you even deal with a relationship. You know what I'm saying?
I went on Valentine's Day with him, thinking we were gonna have a great time. I'm sitting eating with him. He says, hey, I wanna go outside and go smoke my Black and Mild a little bit, because he was having a Black and Mild thing at the time. I was like, cool, go ahead, you can smoke inside. So after like 20 minutes, I said, he still ain't come back. Let me go look check. So I took my head to the door. He was outside flipping, punching the wall. His fist was so bloody. He had snuck to the liquor store and bought 4 nips of Grey Goose, and he had drunk them real fast, and in the midst of that, lost his cell phone in the liquor store. He came back and he was bugging out, having an episode like somebody stole his phone and was punching the wall. He embarrassed me.
He didn't just embarrass you, but he put himself in a situation where he could have been in, I think I was a former prosecutor in New York. You could have been arrested and put in on a mental hold.
Right.
For that kind of behavior.
He's been on mad mental holds. That's nothing new. I'm tired of that behavior.
Come on, Mr. Jaramillo, talk to me. What was happening? Why this episode that's recent, according to you?
But this was 2021, so again, it's kind of like outdated information, but it's still relevant because, but I was, I do remember that I lost my phone. I don't remember really to the extent how, but that night I did.
So you're telling me this didn't happen in the most recent Valentine's?
No.
This is a past Valentine's.
Or 2021, maybe, yeah.
So you've gotten through these episodes, is what you're saying?
A pretty good Valentine's Day this past one, actually. But.
It was 2023 Valentine's Day. I know it felt like 2021, but it was 2023's Valentine's Day, right? Yeah, so then that happened. And then this Valentine's Day, was definitely not that. And I appreciate him, which is why I see that he has try in him. He has some type of potential, But then moving forward, my son's birthday, my son turned 1 year old. And his family came from out of town, from Tennessee, to come and visit. And they don't come all the time like that. They live all the way in Tennessee. We live in Brooklyn. They come all the way down.
What happened at the birthday?
So basically, we was all there, and that's my son. Mm-hmm. And that's my son right there. It's,
a little boy right there.
Anyways, they come all the way down.
Thank you.
So we can have a birthday party. This is here at one of the birthday venues for him, which he wasn't able to make because he was at work that night, because he was at that time working before he got fired again. He was at work that night, so he couldn't make it. So the following day, the parents and the family and I decided at my apartment we were gonna do a second birthday there. Like a home birthday. So we doing it or whatever the case may be. He's there at this time or whatever. Everyone's, singing happy birthday. We got the cake, in there. I look over to my right. I'm like, happy. He's like, happy. Nodding out on the happy birthday. So I'm like, yo, mind you, our car at the time had just got taken. The push present that he got for me just got repossessed. We had it for a year, it got repossessed. So now we looking forward, because the family always never let us down. They always make sure, and they always tell him, like, we're not hurting, we're not broke, but as long as you're doing the right thing by you and your child or whatever your family, we always gonna be willing to extend our olive branch and help you with stuff. But you show us yourself like this, we don't want nothing to do with it.
So let me guess, the falling asleep.
So he embarrassed me and fell asleep like 3 times during singing happy birthday in front of them. And then like the 3rd time, they was like, oh, all right. They didn't even hardly had no cake. They was like, all right, they got their coats, like, we leaving, all right, we'll see y'all later. And I felt so bad.
So your family was embarrassed?
I don't have family like that. That is my family now, whether he likes it or not. So you pushing them away, it makes me feel like you taking a part of something
Ms.
that
Edwards,
I was grown to.
Mr. Jaramillo needs to answer for himself.
I was working at the time. I remember I was tired. And to be honest, like, they never really expressed, like, because, I kind of have to, I got to defend myself here, too. So it's like...
I don't understand why you think it's a joke. This is serious. This is your life.
Right. So I was on Seroquel that day, right? So, but I also worked. So it's not that I was really high, but it's like it makes you sleepy.
You were on what?
I was on Seroquel.
It's a sleeping pill, but why take a sleeping pill of Seroquel at 3 in the afternoon? What are you taking Seroquel at 2 in the afternoon for?
That's a very good question.
Right, because I was kind of like trying to stop taking the Percocets and things like that. So, I got Seroquel because I've been given that in the past, actually in rehabs. I've been to rehabilitation centers in my life before where I've been given this.
Okay,
before.
so at this point, while you are trying to stop taking other drugs, Why have you not checked yourself into a rehabilitation center?
I have a lot. I've been in about 4.
Since he's been here, it's been about 3 or 4 he's been in.
Okay, so Mr. Jaramillo, I'm coming back to it. It sounds like you detox, but then you don't follow through.
That's what happens, yeah. I'll get clean.
So then that means you're not in rehab. That means you detox, meaning clean your body out. But by the way, your movements right now, while you're looking at me, make me think that you are still using drugs. I'm telling you, your movements are giving that to me. So having been in a situation where I have been around a number of people who have used drugs, you're giving me that energy, and I don't know if it's true or not.
It's true. I mean, I do drugs, but I don't.
But wait a minute, you started out by telling me you were 3 months sober.
I am 3 months sober. That's what I'm saying.
You're 3 months sober?
Do you know that the residual, so I've taken, Xanax and Percocet for at least 10 years, or well, not 10 years, maybe like 6, or That stuff residually, if you read it and things like that, the residual effects are pretty lingering and things like that.
No,
On top of the fact that I've never like really been in this kind of scenario, so I'm also a little bit nervous, to be honest with you. But
what kind of scenario? Where you're talking about your life?
I've never really done this.
Okay,
so
which I appreciate.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be like.
But I think I'm being respectful, and I think that I'm treating you with dignity and empathy, right? So this is not a joke for me.
It's not a joke for me either.
So then focus on what I'm saying to you. Focus on me. Don't focus on nobody else. Focus on me. So I'm going to ask for somebody who's got a whole lot more experience than me.
My name is Dr. Ulysses Jackson. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a certified substance abuse counselor.
How can Mr. Jaramillo effectively manage work stress and family pressures?
He needs a support system, and addiction is usually a family disease. It affects the family.
What I'm trying to say to you is, I'm worried about you as a young man, that you are dangerously moving towards addict, or you are there right now. So I'm gonna ask for somebody who's got a whole lot more experience than me to come and shed some light on what true addiction looks like, if that's okay with you.
That is great. Whatever is gonna bring us to progression, I am down. I want my family. That's the only family I have.
So this is what we're going to do. I have asked Dr. Jackson to join us. He's unable to join us here live, but he can join me virtually so that I can ask these questions. Dr. Jackson, are you available for the testimony in the court today? Thank you so very much.
Yes, I am.
So will you do me a favor and state your name and your credentials?
My name is Dr. Ulysses Jackson. I'm a licensed mental health counselor and a certified substance abuse counselor.
And as
specialization in behavioral science with a PhD in behavior.
And I understand you have an expertise in alcoholism and substance abuse, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely.
So you've been listening to the testimony. I asked you to do that earlier. How can Mr. Jaramillo effectively manage work stress and family pressures without turning to drugs? Because that is what I'm hearing in everything this young man has said.
Well, from what I'm gathering, he needs a support system. And the addiction is usually a family disease. It affects the family. As his partner has been saying, Shareena, she's been very, very aggravated about his substance use, which means she's going to be a big part of the support group. So they're going to have some type of understanding of what's triggering him to do that. And I would go into recommending that network would be such as Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and Al-Anon for the family, so she can understand when he's drunk or when he's on Percocet, so she can identify these substances better herself too.
Absolutely, so that she is not left out in the dark. And admittedly, she is not somebody who is familiar with drugs, and so whatever information the defendant is giving her, she's just taking it at face value and then watching behaviors.
Yes.
So, Dr. Jackson, what role do you think Mrs. Edwards should be playing in supporting her husband's path to sobriety? Because when she came into this court, Ms. Edwards said she wants her family. She did not want to break up her family, but she cannot take this kind of behavior anymore. I just want to make sure she has some real behavior strategies for herself.
It's identifying a trigger. She may be part of the trigger. now that it's this later on in the relationship and the child is here. So she has to understand whether she's triggering him where he doesn't want to come home or he stays out late. She has to understand what is his triggers that's triggering his behavior and understanding what, his substance use. Because it's a difference between nodding and being drunk. And Al-Anon and these support network groups will let them know where it's going. And as far as him, his follow-up with individual counseling and a support group is going to help him stay in line.
I, am an addict, and it's really hard for me to sit here in a room and say that, but it's the facts.
And that's the first step to healing. The second step was saying, I want some help.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Edwards, your responsibility is to make sure your children are safe.
Right.
And that is why this court did a drug test. So this sounds like you have some practical steps for Mr. Jaramillo to avoid relapse, especially during those high stress times, because I want this young man to have his own strategies in place.
Yes, he has to also be aware of people, places, and things that's going to get him activated to trigger him off. Like being in a restaurant and just leaving going to the liquor store, that's behavioral issue. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to identify what was making you want to go out and do that while you're in an intimate setting, getting ready to eat with your partner. So we're going to have to go into those triggers, and understanding the dynamics of people, places, and things being a detrimental part of his addiction.
Is there anything else that you would like to add in this situation, sir?
Yeah, I would just be willing to work with Mr. Jaramillo, again, provide some sessions for him to make sure he stays online, to try to get him rolled and get him in line, because I am in the Brooklyn area.
I would like to work with you.
Yes.
So, Mr. Jaramillo, Dr. Jackson, I really appreciate, Dr. Jackson, your willingness to take this case on. Mr. Jaramillo, I heard you pipe right up that you'd like to work with Dr. Jackson.
I do. I have come to terms with that, the fact that I, am an addict. And it's really hard for me to sit here in a room and say that, but it's the facts. And
that's the first step to healing.
Yeah.
Is for you to say that.
It's like, you can be sober, you can live in sobriety, you can live by the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Like, I've seen people do that.
But you're going to also absolutely have to have some strategies in place, like Dr. Jackson laid out. Dr. Jackson, I thank you again for your willingness to help Mr. Jaramillo.
Thank you.
And I'm going to provide you with all the information that will connect you with this family, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you. I'll be looking forward to it.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We appreciate it. Mr. Jaramillo, Miss Edwards, the first step was you admitting that you have a problem. The second step
I know I have a problem.
Was saying, I want some help.
Yes, I do.
But the third step, and an important step, is identifying whether or not you are even acknowledging to yourself that you have moved to the next level, meaning that you are clean and you are not a liar.
Right.
And that is why this court did a drug test.
Okay.
So at this time, I'd like to have the results of those drug tests.
All right.
Ms. Edwards, in order for you to move forward, you're going to have to be a contributing partner in his rehab, depending on what you want to do. Of course you may.
And I didn't mean that was rude to interrupt you.
No, it wasn't. Go right ahead.
Let me just say that she is really supportive, of me and my sobriety and things like that. Like, I think sometimes it's like I was having a conversation with her last night. I feel like sometimes it's kind of weird because it's like I have to fight myself. Like, it's like sometimes me versus myself. When you hear that phrase, I feel like that's me.
Well, sir, that's what happens when you are addicted. Yes.
Yeah. So.
Well, basically, can I snowball off that? My whole thing is, like, I'm in agreement of what you're saying, but it's pretty frustrating because I am his, accountability partner when it comes down to him, like, seeming as though he's gotten high or he's trying to get high or he wants to. And especially after he relapses, like, I have those conversations with him, and he somehow tries to make me seem like, through like psychology, like that I'm you're talking to me, you're breaking me down, you're belittling me the way you're talking. But I tell them, if you was in rehab, that's the same way these counselors and these sponsors are gonna speak to you, and not like, not even cursing, but just being firm and assertive and being like, hey, you know you messed up, right? And here's what you have to do. I'm not accepting this. I'm not. And it's like, see how you talk to me? I can't even get, you know what I'm saying? I ain't even nobody. I can't. And it's like, stop trying to make me feel like me handling you the correct way when you have clearly relapsed or fell in that department, that I'm being too rough on you. No, there is no such thing. I'm not being physical. I'm not putting my hands on you because there's an anger factor. But my whole thing is, I'm not really trying to go too much into it, but you better pass this drug test. That's all I know, because you've been sitting here saying that you've been clean for 3 months. So
I am gonna pass it.
Like,
Let's go to the results.
All right.
Mr. Jaramillo, you say you've been clean for 3 months. Prior to coming to court today, you agreed to take a drug test.
Yes.
The results reveal you tested positive for THC, barbiturates, methadone, Oxycontin, opiates, cocaine, and PCP substances in your system.
How is that?
Because you are an addict and you have done drugs in the past 3 months. That's why it's in your system. You have. Don't look at me like you don't know this. You know that you've done drugs.
I haven't done
You've done drugs, sir.
And all that.
See, that's excuse me. Miss Edwards, you asked for my help. Mr. Jaramillo, you lied.
Ecstasy, yeah.
Mr. Jaramillo, you lied. You have done drugs in the last 3 months. Stand in accountability. If you say you want help, you must stand in accountability. You need to go for detox and continuous rehab. Sir, you will kill yourself if you don't get clean, period. And she's not the one that's being hard on you right now. I am. It's called tough love, because anybody that cares anything about you does not want you to end up in the street. You need to get your behind to detox and rehab and really make an effort.
Yes,
Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Make an effort.
Yes, ma'am.
Miss Edwards, until he has a clean drug test, you need to take care of your children. That's what you need to do. And I know this is harsh, but I'm gonna speak to you the way you want people to be tough love on him. Your responsibility is to make sure your children are safe. And if you have people in your home who are actively doing drugs that you cannot trust, you are not keeping your children safe. You know the experience better than anyone, because you shared it with me. You told me that you grew up in foster care. You don't want that kind of stuff for your kids. You want your children to have a stable life. You want them to have a mother that they can be proud of, a father that they can look up to. He's not ready. Your responsibility as a mother is to make sure those kids come first. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. That's not an angry black woman. That's a black mother. And you better put your big girl shoes on and make that your job. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
That's your job.
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo, I want you to get into rehab. I want you to work with Dr. Jackson. But more importantly, until you can be the man that you're supposed to be, that you can be, you need to stay as far away from this lady and those children, because no more toxicity. Not in that house. It is dangerous because you're being irresponsible. And until you can be responsible, you do not have a place in her house or her heart. It's time to go. That's my verdict.
Take all your stuff, go, and don't worry about seeing your son, because you will see him on virtual FaceTime, not in real life, because you're not bringing all that around. What's next? You want your son? He just started walking. He just started walking. You want him to pick up that stuff next? He just started walking. Yeah, avoid me. Run away from me. Fine, do what people do when they like that. Run away from me. Avoid me, but you know I'm telling the truth.
You are telling the truth.
Made in Georgia.